up next on today's show, we're going to break down the top free agent left unsigned at each NFL position. Before we go to that, though, who is the best NFL free agent left unsigned? Let me know in the comments of today's video. The top quarterback, it's undisputed. It's Ryan Tannehill. What, do you think we're going to put Blaine Gabbert on this list? I actually am a little bit surprised Tannehill has been unsigned all offseason. Makes me wonder if he's holding out hope someone's going to offer him a bigger role. I think Tannehill can still be a solid backup QB. Now, he was bad in Tennessee last year, and I've said this line before, but I'll steal it again. If you look up regression in the dictionary, it looks like this, where the yards drop, the touchdowns drop, the interceptions jump relative to games played, the QBR drops. Tannehill was very good in 2020, and then he was kind of average-ish in 2021, 2022, and below average in 2023. So he can still help a team as a backup. But as a starter, if you're like week 6, like, all right, it's Ryan Tannehill time, you're like, oh, God. It's not a good thing. So at his age, maybe he also doesn't want to just be a backup. It's very, very possible. Running backs. I don't like my options here, to be quite honest. I will go with Dalvin Cook just because he's the biggest name left, and he wants to play again. He was not good last year. You know, we had warned on shows, you know, this might be Dalvin Cook. The signs of regression are there, and he fell off faster than I thought he was going to. But the other free agents are like, it's Jerick McKinnon, a third down scat back. Kareem Hunt, who was also pretty bad in Cleveland last year despite some touchdowns. Latavius Murray, who is a plotter. Leonard Fournette, who was bad. Dalvin Cook, again, regression. 3.2 yards per carry. And you might say, Tom, the Jets' offensive line on offense was bad. Yes, I would say that too. But Breece Hall was a lot better on the exact same offensive line. And we look at some of the advanced stats from Summer Sports. Expected points added per carry. He was dead last in football. Yards after contact. Very much a running back stat. Bottom 5 among qualifying players. Success rate. Bottom 3. Explosive play rate. Dead last. Independent yards created. Bottom 10. Dalvin Cook. I think he's Dalvin Cooked now. So do you agree with my slanderous statement? Y for yes, N for no. Is Dalvin Cook washed? I'm surprised he followed me at one point on Twitter despite all the negative comments I was making there. Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comment of today's show. Wide receiver, I'm going to put JuJu Smith-Schuster on here. Despite other good receivers, all of whom have, you know, it's August. Everyone's got question marks, right? The injuries have been real for JuJu, and they might have added up too much for him. There are some other noteworthy wide receivers. Hunter Renfrow, slot receiver. I was kind of surprised he went unsigned, but his play fell off a cliff. Michael Thomas. You know, the arguments against JuJu are, hey, his production is declining. He hasn't played as much the past 3 years. Michael Thomas, even worse example of that. Corey Davis, I don't know. He unretired and then didn't hear much about him, so not sure what happened there. JuJu was actually pretty solid in 2022, and it was a disaster class in New England. Now, New England's passing offense overall was really bad. Their run game was actually fine. The passing offense was bad. But the injuries are real. Again, it's not like it's the greatest class of wide receivers because it's mid-August. There's not the best players available. And those that do become available often get cut, like JuJu did. And it'll change come roster cutdown time when better players become available. All right, so a two-part ask here. I want you to name a player you want your team to sign, and then tell me that team too. So, you know, Dalvin Cook Cowboys, or, you know, Cowboys, any defensive lineman, or Bengals, any nose guard type of deal. Let me know the Patriots, any offensive lineman. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Top tight end is the recently released Logan Thomas. Was with the Niners for just a couple months, and then got squeezed out for roster purposes, and I don't think he looked that great with San Francisco. But he was serviceable-ish in 2023. Not as good as he was in 2020. And there were injury issues in 2021, 2022. The Commanders were a dumpster fire on offense. I think he can still be a veteran backup. But he's also more of a pass-catching tight end. And as you age, you kind of lose some of the things that make you so valuable in that potential role. Offensive line, I'm going to merge them into one group because we don't need to spend time on center and guard. It's offensive line. You guys don't care about it. I've seen the video numbers to prove that. DJ Humphries. Now, if he were healthy, I don't think he'd be a free agent. He also might have never been cut by Arizona. He tore his ACL late last season, and the timing of a return is still a question mark. There are some other notable offensive linemen. David Bakhtiari, from formerly the Packers, he has said he doesn't want to be the backup, which I think does limit his available options there. Charles Leno, there's been some retirement rumors there. He's unsigned. Donovan Smith, I think it's a red flag when you are a Super Bowl starter at left tackle and the team goes, we actually don't want you back at all. That's probably not a good thing for him. Big V, who is probably more of an internal option if he's healthy, formerly of the Detroit Lions. Humphries played a lot last year. Serviceable. Not a superstar lineman. Probably wasn't quite worth the contract, but, you know, if you're a team like New England, let's say maybe allegedly, you allow like 8 sacks on less than 30 dropbacks in a joint practice with Philadelphia, maybe you're exploring the offensive line market if you can get DJ Humphries healthy. Today's NFL Daily is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the great US of A. Over 5 million active members. So get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You went to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $10,000 by simply picking more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. They've got promotions, by the way. For example, get your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. This is one of my football season-long Prize Picks slates. I'm going with the aggressive more thans on 3 different QBs. Maybe some injury concerns there. But if they're healthy, they're going to hit these numbers. These are actually very easy numbers for these guys to hit. Joe Burrow, 4,000.5 passing yards. Trevor Lawrence, even way lower. Dak Prescott, 4,099.5 passing yards. I love that. So I'll do the flex play, though. If I get one wrong, I still come out on top. Download the Prize Picks app today, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less on Prize Picks. It's that easy. Tart had been cut by the Dolphins on Tuesday. It's a notable release given how good at times he looked in Tennessee. However, there is a reason why he is looking for his 4th team in a span of 8 months. Effort issues and attitude issues have plagued him as of late. There are some other semi-notable defensive linemen. Lawrence Guy, Hassan Ridgeway, Al Woods is a veteran run stopper. Linval Joseph might have one more ride left in him there. Tart was pretty damned good in 2020 for Tennessee. He had 5 TFLs, a sack and a half, 6 pass breakups, primarily as a run stopper. And he had 8 TFLs in 2023. Tart kind of got into, he didn't like his contract, kind of chasing bigger plays, wasn't following the defense there. Titans cut him midseason, said, nope, don't want him. Texans brought him in, didn't play a ton for him. Bengals brought him in for a visit in free agency and said, this is not a culture fit for us. Dolphins needed DTs, they add him, and he gets cut in mid-August. Effort issues coming out of Miami, reportedly. It's a red flag. Let's go to passers here. Yannick Ngakoue. And there's several guys I think are good options out here still at this position group. Ngakoue is not a good run stopper at this point in his NFL career. But if you want a third down situational pass rusher, he can still help you there. There are some journeyman veterans that are available. Carl Lawson's had workouts. As of now, no signings. Frank Clark, Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram. Ngakoue is the most intriguing to me. He is very much, though, in the journeyman phase of his career as a mercenary. This would be his 6th team in 5 years, folks, if he doesn't go back to one of those 4 teams. Bears, Colts, Raiders, Vikings, Ravens. The sack numbers dipped this year. Injuries missed some time. The Bears' defense kind of got going later in the year, and I think Ngakoue would probably have more sacks if he'd been healthier for the entire season. But if I can get 5 sacks on 1 year, a couple $1 million in mid to late August, it's actually probably a pretty good investment. Now, if you want more NFL free agency videos in free agency and before and after, you're at the right spot. Hit that sub button here on Chat Sports. Linebacker, Zach Cunningham. He played a bunch of games last year for Philadelphia, but the same old limitations of he's kind of a liability in coverage are still there. He had 4 pass breakups, sure. We're a couple years removed from his 164 tackle season in Houston. And then it's always, red flag when, why did they bring him back again? Why did they move on from him? Yeah, normally means that the tackle numbers are a bit deceptive. Only 2 TFLs in the past 2 seasons is kind of your statistical key that things are not going great there. I'm going to go with Xavien Howard over other good cornerback options here. Now, he says he's cleared medically. Does face a kind of ugly off-the-field lawsuit if you want to spend some time Googling on that one. It's noteworthy there. There are several good free agents, relatively speaking. Dory Jackson's out there. I think it's still up a team as like a 3rd, 4th corner. Stephon Gilmore visited the Vikings recently. He could sign soon. Patrick Peterson is old, but wasn't terrible for Pittsburgh. Marcus Peters might be too old at this time. I think the top 2 guys are Gilmore and Howard. If you could sign one of them, if you're a cornerback-needy team out there, who would you sign? SG for Stephon Gilmore, XH for Xavien Howard. Injury red flags exist here. Again, there's a reason why all these dudes are unsigned. It's mid-August. They're not perfect players. There's real red flags there. For Howard, the play has fallen off. Remember that 20 pass breakup, 10 INT season? Yeah, when you're a bit of a gambler and you get older, normally you're not quite as productive, as impactful. So I still like Howard as a veteran option, but I'm also acknowledging he's not going to be the same caliber of player he was in his prime. The top safety, I think we're in unanimous agreement here, and I pray to God this gets to be filmed and go out with no issues of him signing, because he's taking a visit with the Saints and Falcons. Justin Simmons. I don't really get why he's unsigned. It is a red flag, I just don't know why it's a red flag, right? The top safeties are kind of signed recently too. Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams all signed recently. It leaves like Micah Hyde, who may or may not retire. Jaron Kearse, who was a big liability. Kind of funny to me that Dan Quinn kind of died with Jaron Kearse out there on defense for the Cowboys and then didn't even pick him up with his new team. That was kind of weird to me. Rudy Ford. I don't get why Simmons is unsigned. Maybe he wanted to wait. Maybe the contract offers weren't what he wanted. He's kind of giving it up to an extent. He'll get interceptions. He might not be top 10 safety anymore, but he's a starter. Someone's getting a starting safety whenever he ends up signing. And whoever does sign him is probably going to get a pretty good value on the contract as well.